5 Weird Ways Disease Altered the World. Ailments leave evident engravings on history. An abatement in populace size and less hereditary variety are a few instances of the effect you'd anticipate that each plague should have. Nonetheless, now and again, an infection has a really momentous and irregular impact on the world. Number 1 Flu of 1918 and the Treaty of Versailles. The flu of 1918 crushed the world and tainted 33% of the populace. Also, it harmed synapses, influencing the mind's capacity to work and in any event, bringing about psychosis. In April 1919, Woodrow Wilson got contaminated with influenza. Wilson was president at that point and assumed an instrumental function in the exchanges of the Treaty of Versailles, especially standing up the France's PM, Georges Clemenceau, who needed to destroy Germany. As Wilson was recouping from this season's virus, many White House authorities noticed an adjustment in his attitude. Wilson was depicted as moderate, tired, and zeroed in on weird ideas. After these odd reports, Wilson surrendered a large number of his thoughts regarding the treaty, which offered capacity to Clemenceau. Many contend that the cruelty of the Treaty of Versailles brought about fiasco for Germany, the devastating of the German economy, and assumed a part in Hitler's capacity to pick up power. The entirety of this could be the after effect of Woodrow Wilson's episode of influenza. Number 2 Tuberculosis and expansion of Western frontier. During the tuberculosis flare-up of the 1900s, many had faith in miasma hypothesis, the conviction that infection is brought about by terrible air and contamination. The thought was advanced by Edward Trudeau, a specialist from New York who was contaminated with tuberculosis and, in the wake of moving to the Adirondacks, seen an improvement in his condition. He started getting out the word that outside air and nature were a fix. After hearing this, a huge number of Americans moved west looking for better well-being, and numerous lobbies for Western extension were focused toward well-being searchers. People tainted with tuberculosis moved in huge numbers with pioneers and voyagers. Number 3 Cholera and the rise of epidemiology. In 1854, John Snow eliminated the handle of a water siphon and made a whole part of medication. Day off, doctor during the cholera pestilence in London, was dubious of the manner in which the malady was spreading. He dismissed the miasma hypothesis and saw how groups of infection were springing up among individuals who utilized certain water siphons. His mediation of eliminating the contaminated siphon handle helped decline the paces of disease during the pestilence. Also, he was the first to utilize epidemiological techniques to control the spread of illness. Number 4 Hookworm and economic development in the South. Hookworm is a parasite that lives in the human digestive tract, benefits from human supplements, and can be sent through fecal issue. Hookworm can cause a rash and looseness of the bowels, however hookworm ailment can prompt more constant side effects. In the South during the mid-1900s, hookworm malady gradually rose to pestilence extents and brought about dormancy, iron insufficiency, and hindered development. After some time, manifestations of hookworm made generalizations about Southerners being droning, unindustrious, or languid. After the pandemic was recognized and endeavors were made to forestall contamination, the South observed more kids taking a crack at school, better harvest costs, and an ascent in salary. Number 5 Tuberculosis's effect on fashion. In the last part of the 1800s, tuberculosis, an irresistible illness of the lungs, had gotten a pandemic in the US and Europe. Since the infection was around for such a long time and killed gradually, its characteristics began to be romanticized in the Victorian period. Styles portrayed by being pale and thin got well known, and the sickness itself became trendy. When researchers studied the ailment during the 1900s, they started a portion of the main significant general well-being efforts in the US. Hemlines for ladies' dresses and skirts got shorter to keep them from getting tuberculosis in the city. Whiskers and mustaches were traded for a perfect shave as a result of the likelihood that microbes could be living in facial hair.